For this movie, I want to have a look at how we can create a vacuum form shell for a torch body that we're going to be using in class. So this shell has a top part and a base. I hide the base, you can see it's hollow inside, so it's a shell. And then if we hide the shell and show the base, we then have a base part that our battery and other items are going to go onto. Okay, so it's in two parts. Okay, right, to start off with then, we're going to go to a new part studio. So you'd open up your Onshape and have your new window to work with. I'm going to click on the top work plane and sketch. So I've got a new sketch on that top work plane. I'm going to click on the word top on my cube so it rotates to that. Okay, right, next part. I'm going to be using the spline tool, which is this one here. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to start along this vertical line here. So there's my origin. So I'm looking to start somewhere up here. So I'm going to start near the top. And I'm just going to imagine that I'm drawing half of the torch body. Okay? And I'm just roughly clicking shapes until I'm happy with them. I want to make mine quite ergonomic as well with a few bumps and everything. Now when I get to just below the origin, I'm going to click there. And I know that it's exactly vertical because it turns orange. Click. And then this is a tail that I don't need, so I can just press escape and that goes. So there's my shape. I'm going to just come off the spline tool so I can start to move some of these nodes. So if you see a node that you think maybe you put it too far out, you can bring that in. We can move things around. We can bring bits in to make more of a bump if you wanted to. You can adjust the shape as you want it. Okay? I'm going to bring this one down a little bit here. Yeah, that's about right. Now eventually this is going to have a flat piece coming through here and a flat piece coming through there. So I'm giving myself a bit of room to allow for that as well. Now the next part is about mirroring it. And we're going to use this tool here, which is called the mirror tool. And remember, whenever you hover over any of these buttons, the name comes up underneath it so you can see what it is. So that's the mirror one. Click on that. And it asks me to select a mirror line first. So the line I'm going to pick is this line here, which is like the vertical line, which is actually the edge of one of the planes. There. Okay, so I've selected that. Actually selected it here. And then it goes to select entities to be mirrored. Well, the part that I want to mirror is this line here. So click on that, and hey presto, it comes at the other side there. So now I have an interesting shape that's come up there. Okay, I'm going to come off the mirror line. Now the cool thing about this is that if we start to move one of these points in, it will bring the opposite side in as well. So it mirrors it for everything you sort of pull into it, okay, until you got the shape that you want. Okay, for my part. Okay, right. So that's a nice sort of shape for my torch. I now want to put a line going across, which is going to change the shape of it slightly to have a flat surface on the top and a flat surface on the bottom. I'm going to take my line drawing tool this time, and I'm going to roughly take it across here this way, okay? And I'm going to overlap it. Now you can check that it's actually horizontal because the line changes to an orange and blue dashed line, and you can also see there's a little line that appears next to it which tells me this is a horizontal line. So click there. I'm happy with that. Press escape to finish that off. And let's do the same at the bottom. So take the line drawing tool and we'll just draw it across. That's about right there. Click and then press escape to finish it off. Now I don't need these lines above and I don't need these bits here. So this is a cool thing. Take the trim tool and you can just trim off sections that you don't need. Because the lines overlap, it creates a new boundary for us that we can trim off. So I can take off this, I can take off this, I can take off this, and I can take off that. There we are. Okay, cool. And then green tick my shape. Oh, actually, before I green tick it, I'm going to take off my trim tool. I'm just going to check the length of it. So I'm going to click my dimension tool and click on the furthest points and just drag a line going that way. Check it's at right angles, not at an angle. So that's telling me it's about 131 millimeters or 13 centimeters, which is about right for what I want. I'm going to click. I'm actually going to change this just to 130, so I know it's exactly in millimeters there. That's cool. And whilst I've got my dimension tool open, I'm going to pick the widest part of my design, which I think is probably here. And I'm just going to click on that to get a dimension that way. So I want this to be about sort of 60 millimeters. So that's perfect. So 58, 60 millimeters. And that gives me a nice, and I could do other dimensions as well if I wanted to make sure about the overall size of my shape there. So that's cool. Right. With it still live, I'm going to rotate this around. Actually, I'm going to close the sketch and then I'm going to open it up again. So remember, if you want to get back into a sketch, just double click on it and you're back into the sketch. Easy. Right, I'm now going to use the extrusion tool, which is this one here. And I'm going to extrude my object up. Now, by default, it goes up 25 millimeters. Okay, 25, like so. We might want it less, we might want it more, and we can type that in here, but I'm going to leave it at 25 for the moment. Okay, and then I'm going to have a look at what's called the draft, which is this one here. Because what I want to try and do is to get the object to taper inwards so that it can come out of a vacuum form more easily. So I'm going to click on draft. Now, can you see what happens there? It pushes outwards. We want it to go inwards, so we'll change the direction on this rotating arrow here. And that's now come in. And that's come in by 3 degrees. Let's change this to 5 degrees, so we've got a bit more of a step on that. There, that's better. And if we look from above, you can see that we've got a change here. So the inner part is smaller than the bottom part. So that's come in by 5 degrees. So it's created what's called a draft by doing that. Cool. Let's click on green tick, and there we have our shape. Now, it's a bit sharp on the edges here. So I'm going to use the fillet tool, which we've used before. Fillet. And I'm going to click on the top surface here. And it will try and fillet it for me. Now, it's done 3 millimeters. Let's try it on 5. Let's see if it's going to work on 5. Yes, it will work. Now, you may need to fiddle around with this value until you get it to work. If it turns red, it's probably that the value is too high and you need to reduce it down until you can get it to actually work. And then green tick that. So now I have an interesting shape there with fillet going around the edge of it and a flat surface on this side and a flat surface on that side, which is great. Okay, I want to put a hole on this side here. This is where my switch is going to go. And I want a hole on the other side where my LED is going to go. So I'm going to click on this surface there, and I'm going to put a new sketch on that surface. Okay, and as it's at this is the closest plane front, click on that so that I'm looking straight at it. I'm going to take my circle drawing tool, move to here, try and find the midpoint so that when this turns orange above the origin, like that, then you know you're midway. Okay. So let's drag it to about there, and we'll drag out a circle there. And this one needs to be 7 mil. Remember, don't click on the dialog box, just type in the number that you want. 7 mil. That's good. And green tick. And let's have a look at the other side. So this is on the back side of it, there. And we want to put it on this side. Now you can see the guidelines of the previous circle there behind it. So that can help us with this. So I'm going to click on this surface, click on sketch, click on my circle drawing tool, move across, find the midline here, and I'm going to drag this circle out. And this one needs to be about 5 millimeters, 5 millimeters diameter, because this is just for my LED. There we go, 5 millimeters, green tick, and there we have 2 circles on this. Now these circles are going to be holes going through the shape. So I'm going to go back to sketch 3, which is the LED hole, open that up, and click on the extrusion tool. Now by default this wants to come out towards 25 millimeters. We want it to go the opposite direction, okay? And we want it to remove elements from it. And we want it to only go a certain distance in. So I'm going to say up to face, okay? Up to face. Oh, actually no, we won't do up to face, we'll do up to next, that's right. And that will just put a hole going through for us. Okay, click on green tick. So now we've got a hole going that way. Hang on, no, I don't want it hole that way. Just a minute, I'm going to just change that. So not up to next, we want it to be, we'll set it a certain distance. Let's set this to be, yeah, let's set that to be only 3 mil for the moment. 3 mil. Yeah. There we are. So we can set the distance that we actually want it to go in. There we go. Still going all the way through. Let's do that blind and then set the distance on here. Let's do that. Yeah, 3 mil. That's it. There we go. That's better. And we'll do the same on this side here. So we'll click on, open up that sketch, sketch 3. There. No, not sketch 3, sketch 2 rather. Sketch 2. Well, that's it. Yeah. Extrude, and we want this one to be blind, and we'll do this one as only being 3 mil as well. That's it. Yeah. And green tick. Oh, and we want it to be removed as well, don't we? So let's do that as remove. There we go. Oh, and opposite direction, of course. Yeah. There we go. That's it. So we've now got our 2 holes going through. Brilliant. Okay. Next, I want to create the base part that's going to go on the bottom of this. So I'm going to click on the bottom surface, which is the original sketch. Actually, no, what we'll do, we'll open up sketch 1 again. We'll open up sketch 1. There you go, that's it. And this time, we're going to extrude again. Now, we've already extruded one way going upwards, but we're going to go downwards this time. So we're going to do another extrusion. It will think that you want to go upwards the same height as before, so we get like a double image. We don't want that. We want it to go downwards, so that way. Yeah. And we want this to be a new one, not adding to it. We want it to be new. Okay. And this one is only going to go 3 millimeters depth, because this is going to be for the thickness of our base. Let me do this. It's new and that. Okay. And then click on green tick. So we have a separate part here. And the reason why I want a separate part is I want to be able to switch them off. So I want to be able to hide that part. If I'd done it as add, it would come as part of this whole overall shape. And we want it to be separate to it. So I can turn it off and on. Okay, now, I'm going to rename these as well whilst I'm here. So right click and go to rename. And I'm just going to change this one to base. Yeah. And we'll rename this one. And we'll call this one shell. Okay. Okay, there we are. So that's easier for us to identify. And we could also, whilst we're here, we could change the color of this. Let's go to edit appearance, and we'll change the color of this so it makes it clearer. There we go. So it's a different color. Right. Okay. So now I've got my top and my base done, my shell and my base. But this part isn't actually hollow yet. So let's try and hollow it out. So I'm going to hide my base for the moment. So I'm just seeing this, okay? And I'm going to click just on this surface of the shell. Now this is a good tool to use. This is called the shell tool here. So click on that, okay? And you can ask it to shell out part of what you've got there, okay? We might have a little problem with these holes we've put there. We might have to put those in later on, okay? And you can shell out the thickness that you want it to be. So the thickness of the material we're using is only 1.5 mil. Green tick that, and that should then create our shell for us. We have a little bit of a problem with the holes here. We might have to put these extrusions in later on. Yes, I think we'll do that later on. So what we'll do, we'll take this extrusion and we'll put that down to there, and we'll take that extrusion and pull that down to there. That's it. Now it looks correct. There we are. It's just the order that we do the extrusions. So we should do that after we've done the shell. Right, let's put our base back on. There we are. So now we have our base and we have our extrusion as part of our shape there, which is quite cool. Okay. Right. And there we have our shell torch base ready to be used. Okay. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing your objects.